The evil spellwork against you was finally exposed. Caught red-handed, the karmic force crumbled under the weight of its own malevolent intentions. The very person who once selected this karmic connection now trembled, consumed by a bone-chilling terror that defied explanation. What they witnessed shattered every illusion of safety, every false sense of protection. The spell, dark, intricate, and merciless, lay bare, its wicked threads unraveling in a moment of devastating revelation. Horror crawled across their skin, a visceral response to the pure malevolence they had just uncovered. In that instant, the choice they had made seemed like a fatal mistake. The karmic connection they once believed was a blessing now revealed itself as a nightmare beyond comprehension. A sinister working so profound, so evil, that the mere knowledge of its existence was enough to freeze their soul. Someone once stood at a spiritual crossroads, holding a sacred choice in their hands. One path led to you, divinely protected, grounded in truth, walking in light. The other path was chaos masked in charm, darkness cloaked in mystery, a karmic force veiled with seduction. And they chose wrong. They ignored every divine nudge, every whisper from God that warned them, "This is not of me." The signs were loud. Dreams became restless. Conversations grew heavy. Gut instincts screamed. But they refused to listen. Instead, they mocked your discernment, laughed at your spiritual gifts, and turned their back on holiness. They called you too deep, too intense, too much. You, who carried peace in your presence and clarity in your voice, became a threat to their shallow comfort. They weren't ready for your light, so they chose the counterfeit, someone who mirrored their wounds, fed their ego, and masked it all in spiritual manipulation. But what they didn't know is that this karmic wasn't just toxic, this karmic was dangerous. And now, the mask is off. The one they ran to, that person has been caught in the act, literally. Spell work, rituals, not innocent affirmations, or petty jealousy, but full-on spiritual warfare. Candles, invocations, graveyard dirt, and intent so dark it makes your skin crawl. And who was the target? You. Your name on petitions, your energy being siphoned, your spirit being attacked in silence, while you slept peacefully under divine protection. But here's what they never saw coming. You're covered. You walk with angels. God placed a shield around you so impenetrable that every curse reversed, every hex backfired. They tried to touch God's anointed, and now judgment is echoing through their life. The person who once thought they could replace you now sits in a pit of panic, realizing they didn't just make a mistake, they made a pact with darkness. What once seemed like a better option has become a living nightmare. And the person who ignored heaven's voice is now begging for protection they once rejected. They didn't just choose wrong, they chose evil, and now the consequences have arrived. You were overlooked, not by accident but by divine strategy. While they chased chaos dressed in allure, God kept you hidden, not because you were unworthy, but because he was preparing the stage for exposure. You were mocked, labeled dramatic, too spiritual, too sensitive, too aware, but God knew exactly what he was doing. He let them turn away from you so they could walk directly into the trap they couldn't see. Every betrayal, every dismissal, every time they chose the counterfeit over you, it was all part of a divine setup. It hurt. You questioned yourself. You wondered if your value was invisible, if your insight was too much for this world. But in the silence, God was working. He allowed their rebellion to ripen until it revealed its own rot. You didn't need to retaliate. You didn't need to convince anyone of your worth. God was building a case. The very same people who ridiculed your intuition are now living through its warnings. And the one who left, they're watching it all unravel in front of them. That Karmic didn't just fail to become you, they shattered their own spiritual foundation, trying to compete with the divine assignment. They tried to mimic your essence, steal your light, even claim your identity, but God doesn't let counterfeits prosper. While they faked divinity, you embodied it. While they used rituals to manipulate, you used prayer to elevate. And now, their spellwork is collapsing, and your peace is rising like smoke from a battlefield you never even had to step on. You stayed in alignment, even when the pain screamed, even when the betrayal felt like a knife between your ribs. Your stillness was your warfare, your surrender was your sword. And now, heaven has spoken. You were never discarded. You were preserved, because the storm had to pass before your table could be set. Let them watch. Let them witness the fallout of their own decisions. They walked into darkness thinking it was desire, and now they're crawling out, begging for the light. They used to mock. God let them overlook you so there would be no doubt about who was chosen. Some people awaken gently, through peace, reflection, and quiet moments of divine clarity, but not this person. They were too entangled in illusions, too fascinated by darkness disguised as beauty, too numb to truth. So God didn't whisper. God shook their soul. This wasn't a nudge, it was a violent jolt. The veil wasn't slowly lifted, it was torn apart, and what they saw on the other side was terrifying. The evil they had once excused, justified, even defended, now stood, exposed in its full grotesque form, and they couldn't run from it anymore. They thought they had chosen desire, excitement, freedom. What they actually chose was a snare wrapped in charm. They had grown addicted to the attention, the flattery, the obsession. But God let that addiction turn bitter. Peace fled their body. Rest became impossible. They couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't sit in silence without being haunted. The presence they once craved now made their skin crawl. What once felt magnetic now radiated malevolence. This isn't love unraveling. It's the soul breaking, free from captivity. This person isn't mourning what they lost. They're panicking over what they allowed, the rituals, the strange chants, the sudden outbursts, the graveyard energy cloaking the space. It all makes sense now, but too late to undo the damage. God had to make them witness it, not hear about it, not guess, witness it, and now they're unraveling from the inside out. You tried to warn them. Divine signs followed them, but they laughed at the warnings, called your discernment paranoia, and labeled your wisdom judgmental. Now they're trembling in the exact pit you described. This wasn't just heartbreak. This was spiritual trauma. This was chains snapping in the most violent way possible, because they refused every softer option. So God used fear to break what lust had blinded. The awakening wasn't poetic, it was primal. They didn't shed a tear in reflection. They gasped for air in spiritual panic. Because sometimes that's the only way people awaken, when truth claws its way through their comfort and leaves them staring at the horror they chose. And now they know this wasn't just a mistake. It was an initiation into darkness they never meant to accept. But they did. And God is the only one pulling them back out. Hold that thought for a moment. I need your attention for something very important. Only a few slots remain in the star chamber of the Obsidian Inner Order, and this is exclusively for the most serious among you. We've just released our most revealing video yet. Chosen One, I started a vortex. So can you, where we expose the true beginnings of the Astral Atom Network, how we broke free from cult programming and the exact methods we use to reclaim our power. For the first time, we're revealing everything we know about personal power, healing yourself and healing others. No filters, no holding back. We have been quietly adding all the occult secrets we've collected over literal years of spiritual practice. The techniques and wisdom that transformed us from controlled pawns into conscious creators are now available to those ready to walk the same path. This is your invitation to watch this exclusive video and support our platform, so we can continue growing our megaphone to reach other chosen ones waiting for activation. By joining the Obsidian Inner Order, you're not just gaining access to forbidden knowledge. You're becoming part of a movement that's rewriting reality itself. It's a 360 win for all of us. But you must act now while the Star Chamber still has openings. Link is in the description. God made sure they saw it. Not by coincidence, not by rumor, not through second-hand whispers. No, this was direct, undeniable. A spiritual intervention designed to shatter every delusion in their mind. Whether they walked in on it, stumbled across the evidence, or heard it spill from the Karmic's own lips, the revelation was surgical. God allowed them to come face to face with wickedness, not to punish them, but to awaken them. And what they witnessed didn't just disturb them, it broke them. There were no misunderstandings here, no gray areas left to justify. They saw the candles, they saw the sigils, they heard the chants that didn't sound human. They felt the energy shift. It wasn't jealousy, it wasn't drama. This wasn't someone acting out of pain. This was intentional, calculated, malicious. They realized in that moment, this Karmic had been summoning dark energy against you, against them, against destiny itself. And that's when the terror hit. Not fear of confrontation, but a soul-deep horror. Because now they weren't just in a toxic relationship, they were entangled in spiritual warfare. This wasn't emotional dysfunction, this was demonic manipulation, graveyard dirt, binding spells, sacrifices, energy siphoning. They weren't in love, they were under siege. Their body reacted before their mind could. Nausea, headaches, insomnia, every moment around the Karmic became unbearable. It's as if their spirit knew it was in danger before they fully processed what they saw. That's how evil operates. It bypasses logic and infects the soul. And now their soul was screaming. They used to mock the idea of spiritual warfare, dismissed it as superstition or emotional exaggeration, but now they believe. Not because they chose to, because terror forced them to. Their awakening came through fear, and that fear is righteous, because what they were surrounded by wasn't love, it was sorcery, and now they know exactly what they invited into their life. God let them see it with their own eyes, so they would never again question the truth, so they would never again mock what is holy. The illusion is dead, the Karmic spell is broken, and the terror they feel now, that's the residue of evil being, unveiled in its rawest form. You tried to tell them. Now, they finally understand. The fallout was instant. No more illusions, no more seduction, no more pretending the energy was just off. Once they saw the truth, something inside them snapped, and survival mode took over. Their body couldn't handle the weight of the exposure. They felt physically sick, spiritually contaminated, mentally unraveling. Every second near the Karmic became unbearable. They couldn't eat what she touched, couldn't sleep in the same room, couldn't make eye contact without flinching. It was no longer a relationship. It was a cage, and they had to get out. There was no time for goodbyes, no time to explain. Some grabbed what they could and left. Others planned an escape in secret. Some disappeared in the night without even knowing where they were headed, only that they had to run. That's what real spiritual fear does. It overrides logic, it silences pride. When your soul senses danger, you move, and that's exactly what God allowed to happen. Because this wasn't just an emotional shift, this was divine intervention. They had once been blind, laughing at your warnings, blind to your discernment. Now they can't unsee it. And every hour they spend near that Karmic feels like a countdown. Their nervous system is shot, their spirit is restless, their eyes dart, their sleep is fractured. They feel cursed, and they're right. The residue of dark rituals still lingers in the air, in the house, in their very body. That's what happens when you entangle with evil. It doesn't let go without a fight. But God made sure they felt it all, not to torment them, but to teach them. The panic isn't random, it's revelation. They're finally experiencing what you've been protected from all along. They now understand why your presence brought peace and why the karmic's energy feels like poison. The contrast is undeniable. And with that realization comes deep shame, regret, horror at what they allowed, what they entertained, what they defended. God stripped away every ounce of comfort so they could no longer sit in darkness pretending it was love. The spiritual sickness they feel now is not just emotional, it's divine correction, and they'll never see that karmic the same way again. The connection is severed, the illusion is dead, and the fallout has begun. The spell didn't just fail, it backfired. Every incantation, every ritual, every curse sent toward you has ricocheted with brutal precision. The energy couldn't penetrate your divine covering, so now it's tearing through the one who conjured it. The karmic is unraveling, fast. What was once hidden behind charm and control is now spilling out in chaos and madness. Fatigue wraps around them like chains. Confusion clouds their thoughts. Paranoia pulses in every interaction. They can't sleep, can't focus, can't breathe without feeling hunted by the very spirits they tried to weaponize. They thought they were untouchable, that their darkness could be cloaked in seduction forever, but God had other plans. The energy they summoned has turned inward, feeding on their mind, their body, their aura. They're seeing shadows that weren't there before, hearing whispers in silence, watching their life slip through their fingers while pretending everything's fine. But everyone around them can see it now. The mask is cracking, the facade is over. This was never just about stealing a partner. This was about stealing power, identity, destiny. They wanted to become you, to take your essence, wear your light, like a costume, and mock your divinity. But what they didn't understand is that your power isn't surface level, it's spiritual lineage. And now that very power has become the sword cutting through their delusion. They didn't just try to replace you, they tried to spiritually hijack you, and that's why the judgment is so violent. Obsessive behaviors are rising. They can't stop watching you, stalking your every move, desperate to understand why nothing worked, why their rituals didn't bind, why their curses didn't destroy. It's simple, you're anointed. And that anointing comes with divine retaliation. Every move they made in secret is now unraveling in public. Every lie is surfacing. Every manipulation is backfiring. They're spiraling, and the person they once bound with lust and confusion is now running in pure terror. God is not only exposing their works, He's allowing their own energy to consume them. This is divine justice in motion. Not because you fought back, but because heaven fights for you. The karmic isn't just losing control, they're watching their entire false empire collapse, and they can't stop it. They laughed at you, mocked your warnings, rolled their eyes at your discernment, and labeled your spiritual insight as paranoia. They thought you were too intense, too deep, too serious about things they believed didn't matter. But now, the smirk is gone, replaced by panic, guilt, a dread that follows them like a shadow. Because what they once found laughable has become their daily torment. The karmic they defended, protected, and chose over you has turned their life into a living nightmare. They knew, maybe not everything, but enough to sense something wasn't right, enough to feel the tension when spiritual boundaries were crossed. God gave them chance after chance to pull away. He whispered, He warned, He showed signs in dreams, through people, even in random moments that made their hearts skip for no reason. But they ignored it all, for comfort, for pride, for lust. They chose silence over action, denial over truth, and now they're paying the price. This isn't just emotional regret. This is spiritual terror. They feel mocked, hunted, disturbed in ways they can't explain. Peace is gone. Rest is foreign. The Karmic's presence feels demonic now, not just toxic, and they know it's because they stayed too long, aligned with darkness too deeply. God is showing them exactly what happens when you dismiss divine protection and mock what is sacred. They weren't just a bystander. By choosing evil, they became part of it. That's what haunts them now. Not just what they witnessed, but what they allowed. They see how they enabled it, defended it, empowered it, and they know, deep down, they spit in the face of the divine the moment they walked away from you. And that decision didn't just shift their reality, it cursed it. Now they wonder if it's too late, if their silence has spiritually marked them, if their ignorance can be forgiven, because they weren't just wrong, they were arrogant in their wrongness. And now they're living with the consequences. This is the nightmare, not just losing you, but realizing they warred against God's anointed and called it love. That kind of error echoes. That kind of mistake doesn't fade quietly. It screams daily. The verdict has been delivered. This isn't the beginning of judgment. It's already in motion. God gave warnings, space for repentance, time to walk away. But they didn't listen. Now the karmic is unraveling, not just emotionally, but spiritually. Their mind is cracking under pressure, their soul spiraling in confusion, and every ounce of control they once wielded is slipping through their fingers. This is divine retribution, and there's no running from it. The person who aligned with them, they aren't spared. Judgment touches them too, even if they try to run, even if they cry apologies through trembling lips. The karma is activated. The spiritual consequence has already begun to manifest, and no performance can reverse it now. This isn't punishment, it's correction. Sacred balance being restored after divine order was mocked. They laughed at spiritual truth. They treated God's warnings like superstition. But now their world is shaking, their peace gone, their reality collapsing under the weight of what they embraced. This was never drama. This was war. And now the consequences are writing themselves into every area of their lives. God doesn't miss. And now neither will justice. They aimed every attack at you. Spell work, slander, manipulation. They tried to dismantle your peace, silence your purpose, and contaminate your calling. But it didn't break you, it built you. What they sent to destroy you became the very energy that elevated you. Every curse became spiritual fuel. Every attempt to bind you became a launch pad. You weren't just protected, you were empowered. Now your presence triggers them. Your growth exposes their stagnancy. Your glow terrifies them because it reflects everything they lost when they chose evil over alignment. The karmic didn't realize they were feeding your ascension through their hatred. They tried to bury you spiritually, and instead you bloomed in places they can't reach. And the person, they can't bear to look at you, not because you harmed them, but because your resilience confronts their cowardice. You've become the mirror to their failure, the reminder of what they abandoned. You are no longer the target, they are. And God is using your strength to reveal their weakness. You were never the victim, you were always the vessel. And now, your light is judgment, your elevation is justice, and your presence is the consequence they cannot escape.